Hi, I'm Trent Ward, founder and CEO of Forme Life. We are bringing the best in home fitness to you this fall. Welcome to Everforward Radio.
3, 2, 1.
All right, Trent, welcome to the show, man. Trent Ward, founder of Forme, CEO, here to tell us all things tech, fitness, as a consumer and on the business side of things, right?
Definitely. Thanks, Chase. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. I'll make the same lame joke. Total disclosure, we had to redo this intro. I'm just gonna make the same lame joke. You had to travel so far, 2 streets over. Trent last. Chase feels good about himself. Okay, we're good. But yeah, please, man, introduce yourself. We'll skip over the dad jokes again.
Well, no, I mean, but look, it's there's a reason we're both sitting here, 3 minutes apart. Is we're in LA. It's the number one place in the world for fitness. This is the disruptor of fitness, right? People in LA try weird stuff first.
Yeah.
Moon juice, all this sort of stuff. So it's a pretty open-minded place that is about personal wellness, right? And so that's why I'm here, right? And I started this company a little over 4 years ago because, frankly, it was hard for me to fit fitness into my life. I was busy, job, commute, family, and so I sort of realized working out at home was the answer. Being told what to do and giving great instruction was the answer. And people needed more help in achieving those goals.
What were the goals you were working on at the time? Was it just maintenance? Were you
I was trying
to become an Iron Man? Like, what was going on?
Just trying to fit it in, right? It's kind of maintenance. I'd say, and it's, I feel like I'm old here. You think about when you're 18, what you're doing, you're playing sports and you have a goal, right? And you're trying to play better. Then you start working and then you start getting a little older and your body starts to change and other things.
Creaking more.
Yeah, right.
You didn't hurt yesterday, but
it was really just kind of staying in shape and being able to fit it in. I had a pretty high stress job for a long time. And I think the only reason I made it through it was I worked out regularly. Then when I started working for myself, different kind of stress, but, and too easy to say, you know what, I'll skip that and I'm going to do this. And
guilty, man, for sure. Yeah.
So, when I started having a trainer come to the house, it was really my girlfriend's trainer. He was already there. It was kind of, it was so in my face, it was hard to say no.
Do we get like a friends and family discount? Like
totally.
You're already here, man. Come on.
100%. I'd resisted having a trainer. I didn't really see I kind of thought, well, I know what I'm doing. Why would I waste money on this?
Right. Yeah.
And, what I realized was the hour in which I didn't have to think about what I was going to do was really meditative. And, and so I've kind of come to the conclusion of, I don't really like driving that much. I like Uber a lot. I get to do what I want to do. I read, I do emails and stuff. And
I sold my car 2 years ago.
Same.
Yeah.
Right? And having someone in charge of what you're doing just makes it easier and it makes it more enjoyable. And so I kind of realized there was an aspect of, you need an expert to tell you what to do when you don't have that education or knowledge, but also even if you do, it's nice to have a coach and it's nice to have someone there. And so that is something
it's nice to have the coach. Nice to have a coach. Yeah, a little biased, but
it is, right? By the way, it's also a hell of a lot more satisfying to have a goal set for you and do you achieve it than to kind of set your own goal. But you set your own goal and you're like, I could have done a little more. Right? And
I can do 10, 9's good. Trainer's like, we're doing 11. And what happens? You do 11.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important. And so I had all these things going on in my life, and I was lifting weights again for the first time since probably I was, on the wrestling team, right, or the football team. And I was like, oh, there's another thing to this. Weight training is good for you. You don't just need to be a big guy with lots of muscles, right? And,
right.
And
yeah.
you know,
I'm not just doing it for like a weight class or something.
Correct. Yeah. And you know, frankly, I'm a big eater and drinker. It allowed me to eat and drink more. Right? It allowed me to enjoy my life. It wasn't just about the fitness thing. It was, I felt better. I slept better. I could eat more. I could drink more. I could enjoy life. Right. And so
I've always said the same thing. I love pizza and I love IPA beer. And fitness allows me to have a little bit more both, or you know, more balance.
Totally, and you know, frankly, if you're stronger, whether it's physical or mental, you're more resilient, and that could be you have 2 pizzas, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it doesn't affect you as much.
I've been
right?
there once or twice.
Yeah, you know, it just allows you to deal with things in your life and be stronger for the people around you, and so I became a big proponent for telling people you should lift weights, and I heard all of these things that I knew were not true. Women saying, I'm afraid of bulking up. You know, people saying, I don't want to be in the male part of the gym, or it's dirty, or I don't know how, or I'm afraid of getting injured. You know, and so kind of all these things is like, well, those are all solvable, right? Like those shouldn't be holding you back. And so it's kind of a confluence of things where if you give people education and inspiration, you make it convenient, and you have the right equipment, like it just becomes easier. It doesn't solve everything, but it removes friction and it allows people to do things. And so, you know, that was effectively digital weights, a big screen, and great content. Right. And so, you know, here we are 4 years later, had a massive shift in the world as a result of COVID. But, you know, it's just an acceleration of a trend that's always been there, which is we don't have a lot of time. We have too much information, and fitness is largely been analog and it's moving to digital, right? And so those trends are all happening. We've had a step change because you've added a safety factor and you've added temporary closures of gyms. So at least people are a lot more aware that this is not so bad. But it's just a trend that's kind of been happening for a while, and you know, modern life. And you know, one of the things we talk about is modern life deserves a modern approach to fitness, right? And that's kind of where we are. And, you know, I'll never tell you the future of fitness. I'm tired of hearing that term. It's just modern, right? This is
the future is here.
Yeah. So that's where we are. But despite all the technology, and we've got some amazing technology, we're trying to make this as human as an experience as possible. Like that's our underlying kind of goal here is how do we make this feel human? Yeah. And especially in this world that's becoming more virtual, I want human connection. I want that. And you know, coronavirus will go away eventually. The demands in terms of time and everything else won't, right? Yeah. So we're trying to have that fit into your life.
I love that. And it took like about 3 seconds and it hit me. I love that analogy of fitness for the most part has always been analog. It's time to go digital. And in a lot of ways, we're kind of, our hand is being forced. The closure of gyms or extremely limited access to gyms and equipment, like that kind of analog experience of the manual aspect of fitness, of needing the tangible thing in order to get the same or similar result. Whereas, you go digital, things get streamlined. It's, much more effective. Yeah, on demand. It just makes sense in a lot of ways, and it takes up space. It takes up less space, takes up less time. I'm not to knock like regular gyms. I'm always going to love it. I really do miss the gym, but
you don't look like you're missing it, man.
Well, I've been doing a lot of yoga, a lot of stretching, a lot of like, honestly, big fit, kind of paradigm shift for me has been in nutrition. Less pizza, less beer, that's for sure. Like the first month of quarantine definitely was more pizza, more beer. But that's a whole other story. But thank you. Yeah, it's just, again, it's something that I've had to make my own shifts in going digital. It's like, I can't have access to all these things that I'm used to. So where can I kind of pivot and get something similar or the same? And in doing so, people struggle, I think. I'm just going back to, when I was working one-on-one with people or in the gyms and things like that. People do struggle with, all right, I know this is important. How can I do it on my own? What's safe? What's real and what's not just some fad? People struggle with getting things in their own hands and staying adherent with them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So how are you kind of really solving that problem, would you say?
Expert coaching, right? Experts there. It's, if you think about nutrition, there's so many different theories and philosophies, and it is individualized. Right?
You know what you're talking about? Not in LA.
Yeah, but,
especially.
Wait, should I be keto? Or should I be vegan? Should I be this? And it's hard. Fitness doesn't have as many options, but it's hard. Should I be doing cardio? Should I be doing strength and this? And so there's a lot of misinformation. And
what am I trying to achieve, really? What am I going after?
Yeah, I mean, look, for us, the biggest, main goal for all of this is I want to feel better. Now that could be aesthetically, that could be just how I feel. I want to make progress. I want to be stronger, right? All of those things. And that's the real engagement driver. And so I kind of always think about it as, if I could work out right now and immediately feel better, well, I mean, you do, or like I could see a change or something, people would kind of do it all the time. But you have to put in all this work, and it's delayed. And, let's say 6 weeks, 8 weeks until something changes.
Usually my kind of personal rule of thumb is always within 4 to 6 weeks. That's how long it takes for you to notice a change in your body. And usually about like 8 to 10 to finally get those, yo, man, you're looking juicy. You're looking shredded, like, yes, girl, like whatever the comment is. It takes about that time for other people to see it in you.
Yeah. So let's say 4 to 6 weeks. Most people's, motivation or attention spans, I don't know, a week, maybe 2.
Maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you're tired of eating the chicken and the broccoli and, but we have the opportunity here with technology to kind of fill in that motivation gap, to get you to the other side, to get that real engagement driver of, I feel good, I want to do more of this, and kind of get that flywheel going. And so, it's, pushing you to complete things. It's removing the friction and allowing it, on demand and in your house, and better experience, to get you along that journey so that you can finally get the positive reinforcement of feeling better. And, because getting better at something or a skill is huge motivation factor, right? People love it. And so that's how we think about it, is how do we bring you along? And that's, you talk about nutrition being a big deal. Look, it's nutrition and sleep. Those are the big levers. We all know that.
Yes,
right?
man. Sleep for me is king. I keep telling y'all, sleep in nutrition. Yeah. Honestly, fitness is really tertiary.
It is.
It's a smaller professional opinion.
It's a smaller thing.
Yeah.
If you can sleep well, you're pretty much, you're in good shape. If you then eat well, you're in good shape.
Yeah.
Activity is important. The main part of activity, though, is just consistency. And so if you do anything, whether you like spinning or boot camp or running or walking, if you do it consistently, you're checking most of the box.
Even just activity, like you said.
Activity.
There's a difference between activity and exercise. Even just consistent physical activity coupled with nutrition and sleep, you're good.
You're good. Now, if you can add a little bit of resistance to that, then you're great.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and then you add some mindset and meditation component. Those are the 4 pillars. Yeah. They're different size pillars.
Well said.
But those are the 4 pillars. And so we think if we can remove friction from your life and make it exciting and in your house and on demand, we'll increase your frequency of activity. And that's just, nudging you in the right direction.
Exactly.
And so it's more about, removing some barriers and giving you some motivation. And look, it's not all one or the other. Like I'm a huge believer in it's an and. Like the experience you get in a boutique fitness class or in a gym is amazing. And then on the other side, there's the convenience of being at home. What streaming technology did for us 5-10 years ago was it meant the experience at home was not as bad as, you weren't watching the same DVD, right? You got a new show every day, and that original
DVD. What's that anymore, right?
I was gonna go with VHS, but
you're not even on the same Blu-ray.
Wait, remember you got the P90X DVD, right?
Yeah, man.
But that was the most exciting thing, and in the same way, you tend to not watch a game more than once. Like if you know the outcome of the baseball game, you don't really watch it again.
Right.
The novelty of not knowing what's next is what keeps you excited.
Yeah.
Which is why live stuff's cool. It's really original. As long as you get a new episode every day, it feels like, hey, it's new and it's kind of there and I'm not being repetitive.
Your brain hasn't completed that loop yet. Once it can close a loop, you're
bored.
Way less interested.
I mean, it's like listening to the same podcast at the same beginning.
I mean, this podcast is great. You can listen to the same thing all the time. Totally fine with that. Yeah.
But like novelty matters.
Yeah.
Right? That keeps you excited. And so in this trade-off between experience out in real life and convenience of at home, it started to shift towards the at home because the experience got better. Because
Okay.
technology, with streaming technology and original content made it better.
Right.
And so now that's why you're starting to see this big trend. Weightlifting, strength training, because we had these big analog plates and bars and other stuff, it kept it from moving to the home more easily. And then, the high cost of injury for people like this and not knowing what, and the fear, you put in a cable machine, it takes away some of that. Having the technology to say, we know the right resistance levels for you. Don't worry. Right?
Yeah.
And really,
even fear right there. Sorry, not to cut you off, but like, I think that's a very pertinent word for where we are right now. Is that may be, not to speak in generalities, but that may be a very strong preventer of people right now. Maybe your gym is back open, but you're afraid. We have fear of, well, what are their protocols? How safe are they keeping it? Is it clean? Is it up to standards? Am I willing to go back out there? Or can I just, justify that fear? And then in that, you kind of begin to lose your adherence. You begin to lose your motivation. And then it becomes external factors keeping you from doing what you want to do, but insert what you're talking about here. And it really does remove, I think, a big fear component.
Totally. And, I think the probably the thing for you and for me is, okay, we could go to the gym and maybe we get sick, maybe we don't. But the idea of bringing that home to the house,
right?
And causing harm to your loved one, that sort of that level of responsibility, just you can't take the risk, even if you don't think it's risky.
Yeah.
It just, there's that, like I haven't seen my mom in months for a reason, right? She's 70, right? There's, so it's I think that will persist. And if you think about it, if you were selling a new product, and let's say you had the best, sports drink, it was the best tasting thing, it's really hard to get people to try it. But if you could hand out tasters to everyone and they said, this is great, buy it. The amount of marketing dollars it would take to hand out tasters to everyone is huge.
Yeah.
But COVID just did that for digital. It just forced everyone to sample digital or virtual.
Wow.
So the marketing funnel just got a lot of cash dumped into it. Wow. And now awareness is there. Now, some people like it, some people don't, fine. But they've tried it. And now you can market to them and sell them something that they're aware of. And you don't have to spend money to educate them.
That's brilliant.
So that's how I'm viewing this is it's not, it changed everything this or this. It's just say, you know what? Level set, everyone now has experienced it. Now let's talk about whether you want it or not, or how you like it, or what your pain points are.
That's amazing, man. But you kind of have a little bit of a leg up with your background, what you studied in business and finance. So like, has that really kind of made you, the guy for kind of solving this kind of problem right now? Do you feel, or how do you feel like you've been really set up for success here, knowing what you know?
It's funny. I'd actually say that it's because I don't know anything I think I'm set up for success. I'm new to this industry.
Okay. New to the fitness industry.
Okay. Yeah. I spent a lot of years as an investor in finance. And when I approach things, and I've never been a marketer, I've never been an engineer, I've never done content. And I'm like, okay, how do we solve this problem? Who's the best at it? How do I talk to them? And how do I get help? And then I ask a bunch of questions. And
like, what do I want? Let me find a coach. Let me find a mentor, like we were talking about earlier.
What's the goal?
Yeah. Who's the person that are steps ahead of me? And let me go straight to them and learn.
Exactly. Yeah. And so we've kind of done that. I said to a friend, I need, how do I get resistance without gravity? And they're like, well, I'm working with these guys from NASA. They know a thing or two about not having gravity. Like, why don't you talk to them? I'm like, cool. It's like, and they're like, well, here,
of course,
and based here in LA, right? Jet Propulsion Lab, JPL. Yeah. And they kind of said, well, here's the three options. It was just so easy, right? And the same thing if I said to you, what's a balanced diet or what's this? You'd be like, so you go to these experts. And then I was like, cool, this feels like weights. I like this. I need to put it into a box or something now, right? In packages. I need an industrial designer. My friend goes, you should meet my buddy Eve. And
only in LA can you have these conversations. It's amazing.
So I went and met Eve, and Eve's like, this is cool. I want to be involved. I'm like, cool. Yeah. Talking to another friend, and he's like, dude, you need to meet my friend Harley. And I'm like, cool. Never heard of him either, right?
It sounds like in a matter of about 15 minutes, you had your entire business plan worked out.
That was more like a year and a half, maybe, but still,
for sure.
But yeah, still, and I'm a huge believer in serendipity, and
Talk about the power of networking too, and just relationship building. I'm sure
good people know good people.
Yeah.
Right. And almost every single person we've hired has worked with the person before. Right.
Mm.
There's kind of a direct link to pretty much everyone.
Amazing.
Obviously the marketing team has all worked together and the engineering team has all worked together. They didn't work, but it's been great. And I think, I read something from one of my investors today that was talking about how as businesses scale, the team starts to become resume snobs, and they want the most experienced person in. Kind of when you're scrappy and then you're getting there. And he's like, the person, the outcome you get from having the most motivated, passionate people is greater than that. But you forget that as you start to get over the struggle. And so when I meet someone and they have, let's say, a sufficient level of qualification, I mean, good and above, right?
Right.
But they want to do it and they're interested. That's the answer, right?
Show me the person who has an insatiable hunger for drive and for learning and for just showing up, and has even a fundamental, just base level skill set of the thing that I need help with. I'll take that person over the PhD, the 10 years of experience, 9 times out of 10, really.
We talk about a lot of this, you just have to care enough. You have to out care, right? You need to, whether it's do a good job or win or any of these things, it's just you care and you want to put effort in. And so we have a bunch of people like that, which is great. Because it's not easy to put all these pieces together, right? And so it's been important to, when you're doing something from scratch, to keep an open mind and then really care about it. That's sort of where we were. So it's because I actually didn't know anything, and I had to rely upon people. I can get on board
with for sure. Yeah.
So, but now I'm an expert in everything.
Of course. And so, talk about a journey. So you spent about 1.5 years, you said, kind of connecting the dots and meeting these people and getting these people to talk to these people and just going from idea to concept to, some kind of tangible thing. And now here we are 4+ years later, and you've got this incredible product that is solving problems for the consumer, the general person who just wants to take care of their health and wellness, to even like the business professional. Would you say is that kind of like this solves problems and meets needs for both sides of the fence?
Totally. I think we think about our this hardware, right? And we have 2 pieces of hardware. They're kind of, I'd say, the highest spec, best in the market. But we know that ultimately good looking hardware is kind of table stakes to get in the home, and this is really about content and analytics. So like your iPhone, it's a great looking piece of hardware, but you are using the software and the connectivity and all of those things. Right?
Yeah,
and that's kind of what it, right? And so for us, that's the content and the talent we have here in LA. And then it's the analytics. So individualized training, knowing that we should say, hey, instead of doing this, you should do this based on all of the data we collected, is very powerful for people to, and we talk a lot about how do we get consumers to trust us, to believe that when we say you should do this, that they follow along.
Right.
But once you're able to do that, once you can really trust your coach,
it's
great, because then you can really throw yourself into it. And so, we think that system can run the whole gamut. Right?
Okay.
I think performance athletes, for one of the things that I struggled with was, I'm working out with my trainer, and I'm like, well, are we doing the right thing? Or, should I do more of this or less of this? And what are we measuring? And and I like,
is this fitness?
Am
I healthy?
Yeah, it's like I'm kind of like, well, I know you're an expert, but how do we know we're doing the right thing? And
fair question.
Right? And so quantification and measurement and all of that's important. But then if you are facing different challenges, hey, I've never lifted weights before and I've never done these things. I have different fears. My fears are, am I going to do it right? Am I going to get injured? So I think you're finding what people's concerns are, and we've built a product to try to address all of those depending. And there's not just one mode, right? It's I think being empathetic of your consumer and what they're going through is really, really key. And we realized if you try to push it all into one product, it doesn't work. And so we definitely have paths where you select into this is the environment I'm looking for.
Okay.
Right? Like I'm looking for performance. I'm looking for education or motivation. Or, everyone's kind of different, and so that's kind of where the software and the content will differ, but the hardware is set up for everyone.
So what is the experience? I get my Forme mirror in front of me. I'm ready to dive in. Like, what is this experience for me?
I'd say the guiding journey is, what would it be as if you were to show up at the gym and see your personal trainer?
Okay.
Press a button or two. There's your session. It's scheduled. It's already there. You don't need to think. You don't need to do anything. It's not a tool. It's a service.
Okay.
Right. So, if you look at how do they market power tools? It can do all of these things, right? People don't want that. They want it to be easy. They want to just know, okay, if I show up and I press a button, I'm going to get this experience. Right? I think it's one of the things Peloton's done so well. You get on the bike, press one or two buttons, you have a great experience, you get off. And
it's just like on like social media and the internet, the more clicks people have to go through, the more you lose them. I mean, I'm the same way. We're human, right? The more work we have to do to get what we want, we begin to lose a little bit of interest, unless it's that good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that journey should feel as close to having a personal trainer, but it's on demand. It's obviously a lot less expensive.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point as well. I think right now people are beginning to evaluate financial health. At least I know I have in a very different way, maybe for the first time, a way, because of the most said word of 2020 is uncertain times and unprecedented times. And they are. And that means a reevaluation, I think, of all areas of our life, all areas of our health, our wellness. It's very holistic: physical, mental, emotional, nutritional, sleep, financial, relationships. Probably now, I mean, myself included, I'll just speak personally, I am mindful of the financial health, and I'm very mindful of like the word investment and the word value are becoming even more and more important to me, because where my dollar goes, like I'm not only literally now voting for all the things that are going on in the world, I'm voting with my dollars, and I choose to invest in brands and people and things that stand for what I believe in as well. And I want to support that mission. It's also a bonus. They have a great product and or service. But also now when I invest with my dollars, vote with my dollars, and I look for value, I need something in return that is going to fill the void that I can't get right now. And to me, sometimes that means spending a little bit more money. That means investing a little bit more, because it's solving a myriad of other problems. And it's also kind of giving me longevity, because here in LA, like a month ago or 6 weeks ago, gyms were back open. 2 weeks later, they were closed. And now some are open, some are not. Who knows if a dumbbell is going to cost me $100 again, or if they're going to be, back down to normal supply and demand. But something like Forme really piqued my interest, because that's an investment. That is investment that is going to give me value, that is going to be constantly upgraded. Similar example here, this audio equipment we're using. That piece of hardware,
pretty fancy looking.
It is. It looks. It makes me look way more legit, right? I feel like DJ Chase. It's a piece of hardware I bought once, and then the software is what keeps evolving. So that was an investment, and it helps. It not only constantly gets better, but it helps me get better. And I feel like that's what's going on with Forme as well. Something like this that I can invest in. It's the hardware that's there, but it's that experience, it's that software, and it's that growth, and it's that humanization you're talking about earlier that is not only going to help me here and now, but keep me moving forward. That's really a perennial investment, I think.
Totally. And, I think you're 100% right that there's been a big reprioritization of how people are spending money, and kind of what's important to them. And certainly health is top of mind. The great thing is when you invest in Forme and you bring it home, it's not just you, but it's your whole household that gets to use it. Right?
I didn't even think about that.
Right? And so, and then to be honest, that's the real secret with connected hardware.
It's like a personal trainer you buy for yourself, but then
it's a fixed cost for
gets
the
to work for every person in your house.
And so when you see that with Peloton's numbers, the average rides per bike keep going up. Even before COVID, it's not because you're working
multiple
more
people.
Yeah,
it's like, yo, mom, get on.
No, it's and maybe they weren't as interested in the beginning, but they kind of noticed, like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And again, it's that whole taster thing. You get it in front of the person, and so And that just increases the value. It scales in your home. And so one of our thoughts is, the main reason that people run out of time, getting married, having kids, moving to the suburbs.
You just joined the Marriage Club a couple of weeks ago.
I did.
Congrats again, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that. But it doesn't matter how much money you have. Like once you have a family, and you have more space and you have a commute, time goes away.
Right.
And so that's the main driver, certainly pre-COVID, and still will always be that trend is the time aspect, but it also means there's two people in the home. And so this becomes an even better value, right? As opposed to your per person per month gym, right? Because, this is $150 when you finance it all in, that's $75 a person.
No way. Like monthly?
Monthly. Right. So for 3 years, and then it drops to 40. So the average price of a gym in the US is $61 a person.
Yeah.
Average, right? For the whole country.
I haven't paid less than $150 a month for a gym in probably like over 2 years.
Totally. And to be honest, most of the markets are a little higher end, but on average, and so it's basically 3 buckets. There's the $15 a month Planet Fitness. There's the $40 a month kind of 24-hour. There's the $100 a month, which is everything else. Most of the spend's up there.
And it doesn't help, the cities too. I mean, before this, I was in Washington, D.C. Very similar cost of living and things like that. And just things cost more. My gym membership's there. And even before that, when I was training in more powerlifting style, like just big warehouse gyms, I think the low end was maybe $60, but even some of the ones I went to, be looking at like 100, 120.
Totally.
All the gyms around here, like all the ones that I would go to that have all the equipment that I want, it's like a good energy, good fit, location, commute, all that stuff. Yeah, I'd be looking at $150 to $300. I've heard, and
I'm assuming your wife probably is.
Oh yeah, both of us,
right?
Absolutely.
So when you think about the economics, I think people see Forme as it's $4,000 up front, but when you finance it, it's a lot less expensive for 2 people for the home. And to be honest, we don't even make money on the hardware, right? That's
really,
right? It's such high quality. There's a 4K display. It's great.
Beautiful. I've seen it. Yeah. It's, not in person yet, but it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And it's in person. It's even better, right? It's like one of the, I almost cringe when I say you have to see it to believe it, but I don't want to sound like a salesperson here, but it does, it pops. It's beautiful. So these things are actually pretty affordable. But it is an investment. And one of the things I think that, people in general, they mix up the words price and value a lot.
Yes.
And, the number one cited reason, sometimes in surveys for stopping your gym membership is the price was too high. It's not actually true. It's
you weren't using enough.
Correct.
To acknowledge that value.
If you went to, Equinox once a month, that'd be really expensive for that session. But if you went 6 days a week, that's a steal. So price and value aren't the same thing. And I think the value you get from something like Forme at home is unparalleled. And you're getting the best trainers in Los Angeles, which is.
Oh, you guys do local?
Yeah. So we have a content studio in Culver City. We recruit kind of the best. I mean, it's if you're going to kind of select from one talent pool, where would you select from?
LA's not a bad choice for this product, this service.
And it's kind of the center of the world when it comes to fitness. So it's also the center of the world for content.
Yeah.
And so when you think of those two things together, that's really what we're doing. This is we're performing, right? And and it's funny, I sort of in my mind, if I said spin, you'd think New York, basement, gritty, all this sort of stuff.
And rave lights.
Yeah, right? Like Peloton, right?
Some like beast cyclist woman yelling at me all the time.
And if I said personal training, you would think big windows, light, LA. Right? And so this is the right place for it. This is kind of where it all started.
Amazing.
So that's what we're trying to accomplish, both the stars we have and kind of pre-recorded content, and then live one-on-one, which isn't based in LA. It's everywhere. Right?
Okay, cool.
And so I think we, if you broadly think of it as clients on one side, content on the other, at a higher price point, it's one-to-one content, and a lower price point, it's one-to-many content.
Yeah.
But it's sort of seamless.
Yeah. What has been some of the feedback initially so far? I mean, this far in, you have to have had some kind of focus group and feedback and beta tests and all this stuff. What has been some of the, if you would be willing to share, like, I liked it, but, and to the second point, how have you fixed that? How have you remedied that? Or did it really need a remedying?
So, definitely go through tests. You do a lot with, you write something down and someone reads it and you're like, well, it's not as clear as, and you're like, but it's so clear. I wrote it down. You can see it. And it's like, that's what's, making a user experience is like, we try to, we think, well, this is obvious. And then someone's like, well, I don't understand why it does that versus that. Or how does this work? And you go, we didn't think of that edge case. So that's just kind of natural iteration.
Sure.
On the take kind of step back, it's like, what do we really need? What are we testing? What are we trying to figure out? Well, we already know that weight training works. We know that fitness works, right? So we weren't having to prove all of that. The question is it an engaging experience? Yes, they like that trainer, or they like the music, or they like the whole experience, and it's pretty easy what we're comparing it to, because it's like, well, would you rather watch it on that laptop, or would you rather watch it on this 43-inch screen that is 4K?
Yeah, that's why I have my TV mounted on the wall and not my iPad.
So the things like that, and the other aspect is we're very disciplined and restrained about not turning it into a video game, right?
Like not going the gamification route.
So there's gamification, but it's the goal is to make this human, right? And so don't do lots of metrics just to put them up there. We have all the information, but like,
yeah, I got you.
Is that so? We thought a lot about driving a car.
Right. Okay.
What do you need to know? Okay, you need to know the speed limit. Do you need to always look at the odometer? No. Right. So do you need to look at the gas gauge that often? No. Like, what's the rank of priority of how often you need to see it and what's important? So that's things like, well, I need to know what my reps are. That's your speed kind of thing. Do I need to watch my heart rate monitor? A little bit, but I'm not watching every second. Do I need to see what my total calories are? No, it's like you put that down here. Yeah. So really prioritizing what information, because how do we reduce cognitive load when you're tired?
Right.
Yeah. And that's the other aspect is what we think looks good when we're fresh, and what actually we care about when we're sweaty and tired and annoyed is have short, and can't think and are different. And so you got to test it for those reasons, to test those things out.
But ready to be honest with yourself right now. Like he hit the nail on the head. That's honesty. That is honesty. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, believe me, it seemed like a good idea at the time. So it's those sort of things that you learn in your test. People look at it and they're like, it's so pretty, right? And having, I think there's a trust me, I've tried to analyze. I've tried to figure out. I've watched people's reaction to it, and I'd say it tends to be emotional almost. Like how people walk in the room and be like, "Oh my god, I love it." Wait, what is it? Right? and
one of those.
Yeah, and so there's I think with every successful consumer product, there's an element of lust for it that you need, and there's an emotional aspect. And I think that's it's like a spark with someone when you meet them, right? That's
literally new and shiny syndrome.
Yeah, and I think so. I've tried to, I am a very analytical person. I'm like, what is it that is causing that unexpected feeling that people have, and that novel feeling? And I think part of it is having a 43-inch touchscreen is new. You're not used to, okay, maybe the ATM, it's kind of
like a Tesla.
Yeah, I think it's they have that 24-inch screen there. Yeah. So I think there's a novelty with that. I think so that's probably a 60-inch TV up there.
65.
Yeah. When you have a person on there, they're going to be 40 inches tall, 35 inches tall, something like that. When you turn it to portrait mode as opposed to landscape, you can make that person bigger. And so to have a person that big on the screen,
again, humanizing the whole theme.
So if you look at any research related to video conferencing over the years, the size of the head of the person you see is directly related to your engagement level. When the head's really small, you don't pay attention. When the head's close enough to look like a human, like you think it's a real human, you pay attention more.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
And the children do this when they recognize something. But to have a human shape, human-sized person on the screen or close to it. It's not the same as a human. Is rare because frankly you need like a 80-inch TV or something.
Yeah, to be actual, scale,
same, right?
Yeah.
But also, I'm 10 feet away from this TV. How you're not 2 feet away, you're not touching it. So there's all these novel things of kind of just scale, how far away from you are, the size of the head, the intensity of a 4K resolution. Like that's my analytical view. All I know is people show up and go, wow.
Which for your end, that's everything you need to be doing, and for their end, job well done.
Which is, it's funny. I've got quite a few investors in London where I lived for a long time, and they all invested on here's a pretty pitch deck and here's some pictures and other stuff. When I actually brought a prototype over, every single one to the person who walked into the room goes, "Oh, that's better than I thought." Thanks. No, I definitely was like, "What did you think it was?" But that delta of kind of expectation to realization is very positive in this. I've seen in this product, and that's one of the other reasons that we think physical distribution is so important. We have 11 stores opening this fall. All at once.
No way.
And thank you. And
it's like a where you go in and buy it, or like a warehouse studio?
Like a showroom.
Okay, cool.
And
you get the Forme is the Tesla of fitness.
So it's interesting. I think it's a great point that so Tesla record is it? I got some things to say. So yeah. 70% of Tesla store sales are online, but 70% of those required a store visit.
Say that again.
So 30% in their store, 70% online.
Okay.
But of the 70% that are online, 70% of those require a store visit. So 80%, right, 20, 30 and 50 require a store visit.
That's like 60% of the time it works every time. That's so spot on. I mean, let's be honest here. There are so many things that we can just buy online that we know, like I don't need to look at it. But absolutely, as a consumer, whether I'm buying a pair of shoes or a workout screen,
just a car. No, this is like
or even a car. I'm gonna go check it out.
You knew you were gonna go buy the Tesla when you walked in. And you weren't going, should I get the Tesla? Should I get the Honda? No, you researched. So it's high consideration
here for this.
But why are you there? To kick the tires, literally.
So I can go home and buy this that I.
Correct. You went there to make yourself feel good about the decision you kind of already made.
Total truth.
Man. And so we need showrooms for that reason. And then let's say, okay, maybe you didn't need to do that, but remember there's someone else in your household. Maybe they need to do it. And so when you think about the percentage of households that are going to require or feel better about that purchase by going to see it, it's quite high.
It's bonobos too, like men's clothing. Yeah.
Correct. So all of these things, and so but you also know what a car is, and you've never seen a Forme before, so of course you're interesting. So
it's a novelty aspect,
and you want to know, and you want to touch and feel it, and it's really fun when people go, "Is it sturdy?" And is it going to fall apart? It's like, well, to be honest, you actually can't legally sell a product in this country unless you go through this, and yes, it is. But we understand because, especially in fitness, it's littered. The industry's littered with fads, right? And so I kind of think there's two things. This is like selling a car because it's a high consideration item, and you want to go touch and feel it. Right? So the other part is this is almost like multi-level marketing. If your friend says, "Yeah, that workout worked for me," or "that product worked for me," you'll believe them much more than if I market to you and I say you should go.
Right. Yeah.
Because you'd be like, "Yeah, I've seen that ad before. I don't really believe it."
Word of mouth. I think that trumps anything and everything. Any form of marketing.
Especially in this category.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can see you've got an ab roller in there and a total gym and a Thigh Master. You get the museum of fitness
part of the secret. I didn't understand. I was like, don't look in that corner.
So I think when someone, again, going back to this price value thing, if I could say, here's a product and it's expensive, but the outcome's guaranteed, you'd be like, cool. Can I afford it or not? It's a different issue, but I want to buy it. That has good value. Regardless of the price, if you're unsure whether it gives you the outcome or not, then you're like, I don't know whether it's good value or not. But if your friend says it does work for me, then you're kind of there. So again, it goes back to value and and then you go to the sales pitch of, well, what's the value of your health?
Yeah.
and you know, especially as you get older, you'll pay anything. It's like when you get sick, and then the moment you start to feel better and you can breathe again through your nose, and you're like, oh my god, I feel amazing. You really start to appreciate it once you are injured or you are unhealthy or you don't feel well.
Yeah.
Right? So.
What are you currently personally valuing in your health right now? Have you been kind of similar goals, same goals as before 6 months ago, kind of thing, or what do you value health? How do you value health?
If they've been treading water before, I'm a little drowning right now. No.
Okay.
It's just hard to fit in.
Sure.
Yeah.
What does it even mean to you? What does health mean to you? And how do you exercise it? No pun intended.
Feeling good, right? And it's exercise is both physical, mental. Sleep's the most important thing for me. Like my biggest fear of having kids is like the sleep thing, and like
with you, man. With you, yeah.
I will sleep 8 hours a night, right? And
is it an Oura ring?
It's an Oura ring.
Yeah, I use a Whoop.
So I have a Whoop as well. I think they're both cool.
Yeah. Almost a year.
Yeah. And they're super interesting. I mean, I with all of these things, these activity trackers. So I had a Fitbit at one point, and then you sort of realize, okay, I walk X number of steps a day, and there's variation, but you kind of have a baseline.
Right.
Like, what's the point of this anymore? And same thing. I think if I were training for something more, I would have gotten more value out of the Whoop. One of my partners, I gave it to him because he's actually training, and so
perfect.
And I was like, I want to try this, but I read about it.
Yeah.
And this is interesting, and okay, but you know what? I've probably learned what I need to learn from it, which is if I eat late at night, my heart rate doesn't go down, and my HRV is poor, and I don't sleep that well. Cool, but like, sure, you have reminders for it, but I kind of have that. I know that if I don't sleep, it tells me I feel bad, and I feel it.
Yeah.
If I do sleep, it tells me that, and my brain moves faster or slower. So some of this stuff's somewhat simple.
It's been a necessary tool for a necessary period of time. As are so many things, as a personal trainer, a coach, a mentor, you need them. You need these things, products and services, for X amount of time until, ideally, we should kind of have these things now innate in ourselves. For certain things.
Yeah, it's like you've seen. I think I'm very interested in this kind of installed in your body glucose monitor.
Interesting.
Yeah, you do it for a month, you kind of figure it out, and then you move on. So I think these things are interesting. One of the ways I think about wearables and data is there is just so much information, and again, I have to take the information, I have to think about it, and I have to change my behavior. And that transmission from kind of collection of information to change in action is very hard for people, and it requires time and attention and education. And so what we're doing is we're actually trying to take information like this and have Forme automatically adjust your workout. So if you walk into your session with your personal trainer and you look like shit, they kind of go, we're going to reduce this workload.
We're going to auto-regulate here.
Yeah, right. But they kind of look at you and they kind of see what you're doing. So we do that as well. But the whole thing about personal training or fitness or activity in general, let's say you do it 3 hours a week or 4 hours a week. The other 164 or 165 hours of a week are actually going to affect that a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so a coach tries to pick it up really quickly or try to figure out what you're doing and to protect you from injury and do stuff. I think we can take the information from your Whoop band and your Oura ring, what's your recovery rate, and say, so it's maybe we do a light test for central nervous fatigue before you start a workout. We do a couple polls to kind of figure out muscular fatigue. We take your information and we actually change your workout for you. And so that type of individualized training where you didn't have to do it.
Yeah, that's huge.
It was done for you. Let the machines talk to each other. That's what we're going for, as opposed to, cool, you are at 72% recovery right now because of whatever, and then you go, should I change the dumbbell from 30 to 25? And maybe you're wrong. Maybe
what does that mean? How do I apply it?
Yeah. I personally don't want to be in the middle of that. Right? I know that the Oura Ring and the Whoop band are smarter than I am, and I expect Forme to be smarter than me. And you don't need me in this conversation. Just tell me what to do.
I'm here. I showed up on time, the right uniform. It takes back my military days. Part of winning, vast majority, if you want to win the day in anything you're doing, show up at the right place at the right time in the right uniform. And then just be present.
Go in the right direction.
I know you guys have a couple versions or two versions. Right? You have one that has these, which I really want to hear more about, the anti-gravity cable system, pulley system. You have a piece of home workout equipment with no weights that gives you resistance training. Explain yourself.
So it's a motor.
Okay.
You could call it an electromagnet. A motor is an electromagnet. Let's just call it a motor. It's
Electromagnet sounds cool.
It sounds cool. It sounds cool. That's what tonal tells you. It's like electromagnet. I'm like, dude, it's a motor. Come on, get over it. And like your Tesla, it's an electric motor, right? And so it's kind of similar. We say this is 20 pounds. You apply a force to it. Well, you take the simple physics, right? You look at those two vectors, you change what the resistance is. And so we're doing that thousands of times a second so that it feels like you're doing weight. And what's amazing about it is, so in a normal cable machine, and I learned this, I didn't realize this, was the bending friction of that steel cable going through the pulleys means that when you are on the eccentric and you're letting the weight go back, you get like 30% less weight resistance. And
as you're letting it go back into the machine, it's actually less and less resistant.
Correct.
Where it's the opposite when you're actually,
on the concentric up. And yet your muscles are the opposite.
That's why a lot of people train with, bands and chains, because you get added or less resistance as you go up and down. Yeah.
So we can do all that now. And if you think about it, does anyone ever says, when they're tired, people go, "Oh God, I can't lift another one." And they don't go, "Well, I can't go down another one." Right? But think about it, right? Sure. Because it's the concentric speaker that gets, so we have the ability to adjust that and fix that, which means it's more efficient and it's more suited towards your muscles, and we can measure that. So I think there's a lot of things you can do with motorized resistance, but it also means it's in a small box, and it means that it changes from one weight to the other weight very quickly. You can mimic chains. You can have an auto spotter. All of these things in it. So that's cool. That is the large portion of the innovation. But I'd say also that it's a dual arm cable machine. I started with a free motion. One of those free motion.
Yeah.
I took the weights out. Okay. I put in a motor, and I put a big screen on the front.
True engineer. Just let me look at something. Let me take it completely apart. Understand it, rebuild it, make it better.
Because the only thing I was trying to test was we know that if you're gonna have one piece of equipment, a dual arm cable machine's the smallest, right?
Sure.
And so put a screen on it because we were told what to do. That was the problem with the Kinesis, the Techno Gym. It's gorgeous.
Oh, right, yeah.
But what do I do with it again?
Yeah.
And it's like, why don't you just put a screen in it? And so it's that, and then test the motors in the back, and then make it smaller and prettier. Right? Wow. So it's kind of just the very linear path. I mean, again, it goes back to this. I don't really know what I'm doing. So that seems like
I just speak with confidence and have smart people around me at all times. Yeah.
And what is it? What are my first principles? What do I believe? What do I know to be true? I know weight training is good. I know working at home is good. I know that machine is the smallest one in the gym. I know I'm staying with it.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do I need to change from here?
Sure.
Right. Make it smaller and then add instruction. And so there's that, and then we have the big screen, and we actually made them separately on purpose. And they're modular. You can buy one, then the other. You can buy them both together. But the main reason is the people that bend metal and make mechanical things are very different than the people who make electronics. Totally different skill sets.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you go to someone and say, hey, you go to a TV manufacturer, like, could you bend some metal around that? Like, we don't do that. Right? So
I can solder you a new board or something.
Yeah, right. And so again, go to the people who are the best at what they do and have them do what they do. And so the people who make our screen make the iPhone, right?
Wow.
And it's
amazing. Well, you got me there. I mean, I was my peak before. You had my attention. Now you have my curiosity. I mean, I set the Apple Kool-Aid hard, man. Straight up. I've had every new iPhone every year. They got me. So All right.
I can't wait to have you down.
Sign me up.
So I just want to watch your face.
Is Forme really the next iPhone? Is that what's going on? This is the iPhone 52 coming out in like 2050. You guys are just that far ahead.
I have talked about making the Forme Plus, like the iPhone Plus, like it's a bigger thing. I don't. You do hear, talk about the third screen and the other stuff, and we all. I think every consumer products company has been trying to put another screen in your house, right? Samsung put on refrigerators, remember? Yeah. And so they're kind of proliferating, but in the same way, the reason the iPhone took off was because of the App Store. I mean, sure, it was great and sexy and all that stuff, but like the network effects of the App Store really did it. There was utility.
The sales and like the hype from just iPhone to iPhone 3G when it came out with the App Store was just, I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but probably 40, 50 fold.
It gave all the utility. So if I say I want to put another screen in your house, you're like, well, I have a screen. But if I'm telling you I'm going to sell you a weight machine, well, I need that. They're like, cool, there's a screen on top. I'm like, that's fine.
There's a screen on top.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, I've got the screen in the house. So I think if you put a third screen into the home, but it actually has utility, it could become the third screen.
Damn.
And when you don't buy it with the weight machine, you buy just the screen only. We talk a lot about, well, why would someone buy this? Like, if I wanted to watch fitness content, I've got a 65-inch TV.
Yeah, I got a smart TV. Yeah, why can't I just go to YouTube and watch the whole workout?
So you can't, right? And so for me, from my personal perspective, I didn't see a lot of utility in just selling a screen. But when we think about our screen, okay, it's got, first of all, touch screen, right? Voice control. It's the right shape, sure. But we also have these stereoscopic cameras. So we have two cameras. So one take with binoculars, where you cover up one eye, the picture kind of moves to the left, or you cover up the other eye, moves to the right. Your eyes in your head merges those two into a 3D picture.
Right, yeah.
Right? We're doing the same thing with these cameras.
Okay.
So, but it also allows us this really, really big aperture. So, if you think about like you train with Zoom, you kind of have to be pretty far away so that the trainer can see all of you.
Right.
If you're close to it, you're only seeing the upper body.
Yeah.
If we're like 2.5 feet away from this, the way we set up the cameras, we can see floor to ceiling.
Amazing.
So a trainer on the other side can actually give you feedback by seeing everything.
Wow.
And we can also show the client to the trainer in more than one dimension at the same time because of the way we did these cameras. So there's some
that's so smart.
It's not just that, right? It's because our goal was, how do we make this the highest fidelity experience that we can have?
Yeah.
It's in effect reaching through the screen and touching someone, right? And
that's Forme 2.0 coming 2022.
For the arms
through the looking glass.
Yeah. So, but again, it's like, how do we make that human? And how do we give the trainer the tools on the other side to provide that great experience, as opposed to just this, I'm watching a screen.
Yeah, that's so necessary, man. Thank you guys so much thank you for conceptualizing this, creating it, and not just creating another product for somebody to buy to turn into an expensive piece of dust in the corner in the garage somewhere, but really truly recognizing the core fundamentals of what fitness is, of healthy behavior, of adherence. And I mean, 4 years ago, you didn't know any of this was going down, but like truly the humanization component is crucial. I hear that, and I go back to every just failure or I shouldn't say failure, every success story and every success story that took a little bit longer. When I was back in my health coaching practice, it all came down to the humanization component, like the feeling, the sensation, the connection between that person and me, that person in their workout, that person in whatever we were working on. That is the true measure and necessary component to get people healthy, to keep them healthy, and to keep them coming back. Humanization for sure, man.
I mean, with all the respect in the world, like, are you the best trainer in the world?
Nope.
Right.
No.
But you know what? Your clients loved you. And,
Yeah.
And so it's the
I had some
relationship
for years,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 years.
And so that the optimization isn't, are you an Olympic athlete? It's no, do I like this person and trust them and this? And so it is really about kind of personal relationships and rapport. And and we're trying to celebrate that as much as we can in a digital realm.
Yeah. Amazing, man. Well, kind of getting towards the end here, we've been talking about a lot, talking about the tech, but really just so that people can walk away and getting a very, very clear understanding. What's the Form elevator speech? What is it like?
Oh my God, it's so hard. To be honest, I've been doing this for 4 years. I still haven't figured it out.
What is it? Really?
It's just the most complete personal strength studio at home. So we chose a lot of those words because it is complete. It's got all the pieces. It's everything you need. There's all these different types of content. We haven't even talked about the ballet bar that snaps on the front, right? But
well, you can do like a bar.
Yeah.
Oh,
but so the bar actually is removable.
Wow.
And so you don't have the little white chair, and so it's just complete. It's thoughtful.
Amazing.
We've been really, really thoughtful about all this stuff. And it's I think it kind of meets everyone where they are, right? So
and gets them where they want to be.
Yeah, the problem is it's like all the other things of it's a virtual personal trainer. To this. Then they've been used a lot. So I think there's still a lot of we're charting new territory, I believe. And I think I've realized I don't have a short way of saying it. And there's just too much to say. And
the change you all are bringing about, there's no short form change. There's no short form way to describe that. So I feel you on that. There's no short form way to talk about it.
So we just need form to become a noun, and then you'll know, right?
Or just turn it into an acronym somehow. FORME. So let's do a contest. The one you pick, I'll do a giveaway with or something.
Yeah.
Not really. No. Don't hold me to that. But
no, but it's interesting. I mean, so Eve, my partner, is he's a francophone, right? He grew up speaking French, and he chose the name. And his form in French means both physique, how you look, and technique, how you do it. And so it's
I like that.
There's kind of a couple things in there, and form means a lot of things, and it's gonna deliver a lot of value to different people.
Absolutely, no doubt. Especially once you guys get these the shops open. I can go in and kick the tires on it, so to speak. I can't wait to check it out, man. I mean, as soon as I heard about this, I was like, this is necessary and inevitable and value.
Fingers crossed,
Yeah.
So hopefully everyone else feels the same way.
Well, where can people go to connect with you more, to learn more about Form? Where can they go to, hop on the pre-order if they want, or and just connect with you in Form?
Yeah, totally. So website is formelife.com, FORME life.com. Instagram's great. We have an amazing marketing team.
It is.
So that's pretty.
Whoever's doing that, kudos, man.
I was like, guys, we don't need another black and red or green, or yellow fitness brand, right? You think about TRX or this other stuff.
Yeah.
And, it's human color.
It's all just natural colors.
And human skin, right? Mm-hmm. Because this is, again, human form and what it's doing. So Instagram, this is Forme Life. I'm on LinkedIn, and I guess
cool.
That's the official, that's the business chat.
That's the much adult version.
Yeah. I'm not quite ready to be like a public Instagram person. They keep telling me I'm supposed to, but I'm not great at social media.
I keep hearing great things about LinkedIn. Honestly, I think a lot of people sleep on LinkedIn in terms of effective networking, finding jobs, relationship building. I've gotten business off of LinkedIn and like really good relationships and great podcast guests too.
I think I've definitely become it's pretty interesting. It has substance, right? It's like, what has this person done?
Yeah.
What do they know? People aren't placing political views on things, and there aren't any cats anywhere.
Or a picture of your lunch.
Yeah. So but our social media, our marketing agencies said that I have to start posting every day, and they're like, even if it's like your breakfast, and I'm like, I just don't see. I do like to see. That's a generational thing. Like,
that's a polite way of saying you're old.
Basically, she's like, you're not comfortable turning the camera on you when it's not perfect. And I was like, you're right.
I don't want to.
And they're like, the younger people don't mind. They're like, look at my avocado toast. So it is it's 100% generational thing. But LinkedIn I'm so cool with.
Awesome. Well, we'll have your LinkedIn linked down in the show notes. We'll have all the Form website and content. And seriously, the Instagram is incredible. This product is incredible. I love what you guys are doing. Thank you so much. The last question I ask everybody is the 2 words of the show. The 2 words of my life is on my arm here, and is we have to stay moving forward. It's constantly ever forward. It's the obstacle becomes the way. No matter what is before us, there's a lesson in there, and we have to just persevere. What does that mean to you? How do you live a life ever forward?
I don't kind of sit around and be like, what do I do today? I just always have something to do. Like I have interest in things. Like I keep pushing. And that's one of the things I've learned as an entrepreneur that I hadn't appreciated fully. A lot of this is just keep pushing, right? It takes a long time, and like being resilient and just keep pushing, you sort of realize there are definitely times you're going to be like, screw this. I don't want to do this anymore. And you just got to keep moving ever forward. Right. And that is entrepreneurship, to be honest. I mean, there's part of inspiration, but really you just got to will these things through. And so I think it aligns perfectly with what you're talking about.
Absolutely, man. There's never a right or wrong answer. It's all yours. Thank you for that. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for hopping on here. This is Trent Ward, founder and LinkedIn operator of Form, this fitness device, this product, this service, this humanization connection piece that we honestly all need more of right now. And can't wait to check it out, man.